Hello and welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Chloé and this is Brands of Chloé, a channel centered around books, food, personal finance, and travel. Today I'll be going over 4 personal finance books that I think you should read. Some of these books are geared towards women, one is geared toward millennials, and one is strictly on budgeting. So let's get into it.
But nothing in this world that I like more than checks. Money. What I really want to see is the money. I don't really need.
Okay, so this is my 5th YouTube video now, and I don't know if you've noticed, but I've pretty much had a different background in every single video, but I feel like I finally found a background that I like, so I will be consistently using this one going forward. But getting into the video, let's jump right into it with our first book, and this is The Pocket Idiot's Guide to Living on a Budget, Money Saving Tips That Will Keep Your Finances in Your Hands by Peter J. Sander and Jennifer Basie Sander. So this book, and it's a pretty small book and you can get through this pretty quickly, and this is all about budgets, learning how to handle and keep track of your money, learning how to budget. They go over different techniques and ideas for you to budget. And if you remember in my last video about creating a budget and sticking to a budget, in my 5th tip I mentioned that I got that idea from a budgeting book, and that was this book. If you haven't seen that video, I will leave it for you on the screen so you can check that one out as well. But this was just a pretty great book to read. I got a different perspective on how somebody can budget their money. They are a married couple and they have children, so that's a cool thing to see if you do have children or if you are married, how you can learn to budget and work with money when it's not just yourself. So that was this first book, Living on a Budget. The next book I have for you is Real Money Answers for Every Woman, How to Win the Money Game With or Without a Man by Patrice C. Washington. This book was another great one. She goes through credit management, how to organize your financial statements or other important documents. She goes through home ownership, and I liked it because she started the book by talking about how she kind of came to where she was at now. So pretty much in the 2008 recession, she lost everything that she had, and just building up from that. And I think this is a timely book to have too, because right now in the United States, we're seeing unemployment numbers that are way higher than the numbers that we saw back in the 2008 recession. And I think this can give you a perspective also to see what somebody did to get themselves out of the financial burdens and all the financial troubles that they were in from the 2008 recession to now. Another thing that really stuck with me from this book was her idea of how you perceive money. And if you always have a negative idea about money, then you're probably not going to handle it well. You're going to try to avoid it, and you can't avoid money. You need money. You have to be able to earn money, spend money, save money, invest money, everything. So one of the things she mentioned was not calling it an emergency savings fund, but calling it an opportunity fund. And I've always, ever since reading this, I've always stuck with that. So I don't call my account like opportunity fund, but I do have a different name for it that's not emergency. Because if you call it an emergency fund, the way she thought about it was an emergency is going to happen, so you're going to need it. But if you kind of put a positive twist to it, it might just encourage you more, or just be a better way for you to look at your finances and all your money. So this is another great book by Patrice C. Washington. The next book is Women and Money, Owning the Power to Control Your Destiny by Susie Orman. And I don't think I could have made this video or list without including a Susie Orman book, but I truly do believe this is a great book. I think it's really beginner friendly too. So if you're just completely new to personal finances, you've never had to deal with your own money, I would definitely say you could start with this one. She breaks it down from the very beginning, where you're talking about checking accounts and savings accounts, which to someone might seem like too beginner, but it's always good to read these things because you might learn a different fact from the way that she writes about it, or just something you didn't know that banks did. You can learn about that from this book. She also talks about, yes, it's called Women and Money, so she also talks about if you're in a marriage and you're not working and your husband or your spouse is giving you money, just because they're giving you money doesn't mean that you shouldn't be a part of these financial discussions. Like, this is your family, so you are very important and you should be a part of those conversations as well, and you should know what's going on. What I love about this as well is, yes, it starts out very beginner, but then it also goes into details about things like a revocable living trust and the benefits to it, and how having a will is not enough. And though you might think, oh, I'm so young, I don't need to worry about a will yet, maybe you might not need to, but maybe you know somebody older who needs to, or a parent, and it's never too early to start planning either. So it's just good to know, and she has some great tips, and this was a great book from Susie Orman. The last book, and this one is my absolute favorite personal finance book, and that is Get a Financial Life, Personal Finance in Your 20s and 30s. This is by Beth Kobliner, and this book is so thorough on millennial topics such as car loans and student loan repayments and health insurance. She goes through so much in this book, and I really enjoyed it. She says it's for your 20s and 30s, but if you're younger than 20, it's also a great book for you to just start learning about things to do in your future so you're not behind in the game. Really enjoyed this one. Like I said, it was thorough, but like she really breaks down everything. Like, she talks about savings and retirement accounts. She talks about military benefits. So if you're in the military, or if you're a spouse of somebody in the military, you can learn a little bit about that. If you ever hear people talking about what tax bracket they're in, she breaks down that so you could understand what it is, and then also see what tax bracket you are in, because she breaks down that calculation easily too. One of my favorite reasons for loving this book is when I read this, she has a section on taxes. So everybody has to pay taxes. So in the past, I've always given my W-2s to a tax professional to be handled. That's what my parents did. So that's just how I was doing it all along. And I would have to pay this guy to do my taxes. And then once I read this book, I was like, why am I paying somebody to do my taxes? She breaks it down so easily. And after this, I still wasn't sure about doing it on my own, but I was like, I could definitely look into it and see. And I file my own taxes this year, and it's very simple to do. Now, I'm not saying that if you get your taxes done by a professional, that's wrong. That's definitely a service that's important, but for me, I'm still young and my tax return is super simple. There is no need for me right now to be paying somebody to do my taxes. So definitely love this book. Besides the fact that I just didn't have to pay somebody else to do my taxes, it was just a cool feeling to learn, I guess, a new skill. Like, I could do my own taxes. I understand the W-2s and all that stuff, but doing the tax side of it and seeing like what the IRS needs, all that stuff was cool. So another great book. And if you didn't know, by the way, the IRS has an option for people to file their taxes for free. So if you have to make below a certain income, but if you meet that and other requirements, you can file your taxes for free. So that's definitely a great service. That's something I don't think that's known by everyone. So if you didn't know that, glad to share that information. I'll put the IRS website on the screen so you can check it out for yourself. If you don't qualify, but you know somebody who might and who's paid for their taxes in the past, you could let them know about this as well. Personal finance is so important, and yet I feel like it's rarely taught in schools, and this is the information you have to go out of your way to find it sometimes, because if you don't have parents or relatives or somebody, an advisor, to give you this information and steer you in the right direction, you'll never know. So unfortunately, though it's not really taught in schools and you have to go and find this information yourself, I hope you guys can choose one of these books and learn a little bit more. If you already kind of know some of personal finance stuff, maybe you could pick one up and just further your knowledge and your personal finance journey. I'm going to put the links to the book down in the description box, so you can check that out if you like one of the books from this video. I truly like all these books, and I stand behind them. Anytime a friend or family member asks me to suggest a book for them on personal finance, these are pretty much my go-to. So I do think they're really great books. So those are the 4 personal finance books I'm talking about today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, drop some comments down, and I will see you at my next video. Bye.